Kwaba, welcome to this week's edition of Ghana in Focus with myself, Kwame, Ghanaian writer, broadcaster, journalist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. And in this week's edition of Ghana in Focus, we are continuing our series looking at our business and investment opportunities in Ghana that you can tap into. All right, so this week we'll be looking at agriculture because that's one of the biggest ways in which you can make money in Ghana. All right, so before we get into the podcast, just to make you aware, if you like what you hear, please share it to your friends, family, social media networks. Subscribe to Ghana, Africa in Focus on YouTube. We want to get at least 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So far, we've got about 20, I believe. So please subscribe to Ghana, Africa in Focus on YouTube. Also, we're on Spotify. Look out for Ghana, Africa in Focus on Spotify. Click the notification, click the follow bell, meaning that every time I upload a new podcast, Spotify will notify you. We want to try and get about 1,000 followers by the end of the year. So far, we're approaching 600 followers. So thank you to all those who are following me on Spotify. Like I said, tell your family and friends and subscribe. All right, so let's get into this week's podcast, part 3 for now of our series, looking at business and investment opportunities in Ghana. So over the last few weeks, we've been telling you about potential business and investment opportunities there in Ghana. These are some that I've got myself. I'm into real estate. I've got land, I've got property that I'm renting right now. I've also got a farm in Ghana. I've also got some bits and pieces as well. So I'm telling you things that I myself have invested in Ghana. Now, one of these is agriculture. You know, agriculture, people don't take it seriously on the African continent, but foreigners are doing so, and I'll get back into that in a minute. But agriculture, farming is one of the biggest ways which you can make money, not just in Ghana, but any part of the African continent. Why? Because Africa has fertile, rich soil. Ghana, is no exception. And so Ghana, you can grow anything in Ghana because the climate is as such, and the soil is very, very rich and fertile that you can grow virtually anything pertaining to a tropical climate. Obviously, you can't grow grapes in Ghana or apples because the climate is not conducive towards growing those kind of foods. But generally speaking, you can grow a lot of fruits and vegetables amongst other things in Ghana. And so farming, believe it or not, is where the next billionaires are going to come from. So it's not in AI or this type about the fourth industrial revolution, etc. The next billionaires are going to come from agriculture. Why? Because people need to eat. It's as simple as that. Everyone eats. I'm sure you listen to me, you eat as well. You probably ate today. You probably ate about 3 or 4 meals today. So everyone eats. So meaning that food will never go out of supply. Yeah, there's always be a demand for food. And in Ghana, where we import a lot of food, yeah, if you're able to buy some land and use that to cultivate food crops here, you can make yourself a lot of money. And so I'm going to go into a bit deeper about the types of things you can grow in Ghana and also what you can do with your produce and also opportunities that there are to expand your produce or products into other areas. And so, like I said, you can grow within reason in a tropical climate, anything in Ghana. So let's deal with the main cash crops. So cash crops are cocoa. Cocoa is what makes the chocolate. And obviously, cocoa now recently reached record highs of about $11,000. It's now gone back to about $8,500 a ton, which is much better than when it was, about 3-4 years ago, when it was about $3,000 to $5,000 a ton. And so if you can grow cocoa, particularly in Ghana, whereby our soil is rich and conducive towards cocoa production, again, you can make a lot of money. So I'm just going to give some of the cash crops that I think, you can benefit from if you decide to go into farming. So cocoa is obviously the one big one. Pineapple, yeah? Our pineapples are very, very sweet. And so pineapple cultivation is something that is, There's a market there, and it's something that you can benefit from. Oranges, yeah, it's another great fruit you can tap into. Mangoes, again, Ghana's got some of the sweetest mangoes in the world. Mango production or cultivation is again something you can get into. Even almonds. A lot of Ghanaians are not aware about this, but almonds, growing of almonds, yeah, is very, very good for Ghana's climate. So, for example, in America, I love the almonds are grown in California, where it's very sunny, which is a temperate climate, not as hot as Ghana, but it's conducive. The climate in California is conducive towards growing almonds. So in Ghana, check this now. If we're to grow almonds in Ghana, particularly where our soil is more rich and fertile than California, right? You can make a lot of money. And I think almond is going for something like about $8,000-9,000, a ton, showing you that there's demand for almonds. And aside from that, almonds is also very nutrition good for you. Good source of protein, good source of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Okay. Another cash crop they can go into is pear, or as we say, or pear is what we say in Ghana, but it's generally known in the Western Hemisphere as avocado. There's a massive demand for avocado, and I noticed that in the UK, something like about £2 to £3 billion was spent last year on buying avocado. A lot of the avocados in the UK come from places like Israel, Chile, those places, yeah, Mexico, those places, yeah. But again, like I said, our soil is rich, yeah. And if you've ever eaten a pear or avocado from Ghana, you know how creamy, texture, and rich it is. So again, that's another cash crop. What else is there? Vegetables, yeah, vegetables. Spinach, carrots, onions, tomatoes. These are all cash crops which you can grow that will A, give you a market to sell your products, B, generate profit for you, and C, it will be able to sustain development of those products throughout the year. So these are just some of the key cash crops that I recommend that you grow if you get a parcel of land or a couple of parcels of land or 3 parcels of land. Because if you buy, for example, 4 acres of land, you can donate 1 acre just to grow oranges. You can donate another acre to grow pineapples. You can have another acre to grow mangoes. You can have another acre to grow, spinach. So you're giving yourself, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, but you are diversifying your crop range in order to maximize, the levels of, income that you are getting, and also maximize the levels of returns that you are getting for your investment. And so when we look at things, for example, like pineapple, like I said, cocoa, pineapple, oranges, mangoes, generate between 10 and 25% return on investment. Yeah. Given the fact that these are high in demand, and even almonds, like I said, almonds, goes for between 8 and 10,000 US dollars a ton. Yeah. Making these kind of crops very, very appealing towards, cultivation and growing. Now, again, another fruit, yeah, fruit that is, again, something you can grow and invest in is coconut. Coconut is in massive demand, particularly our coconut in Africa, because, coconut is used to make a lot of things. You can make coconut biscuits, yeah, believe it or not. You can make coconut cake, yeah. You can make coconut ice cream, yeah. You can make, obviously, coconut juice. You can make coconut, moisturizer. So even coconut alone has many, many byproducts they can tap into should you, want to invest in, coconuts or grow your own coconuts. So let's take, so let's now get into, so I've told you about some of the cash crops that I think are very, very profitable. Let's get into some areas whereby you can maximize your cash crop. So I mentioned coconut, yeah? There are many uses of coconut there, which can guarantee you a broad, diverse portfolio within the coconut product alone. Yes, like I mentioned, there's more than 20 products that can come out of coconut alone. So if you decide to just grow coconut, yeah, and you go into agro-processing, because again, that's another dimension of farming. So, but I'll come into that in a minute. So coconut has got many, many uses that you can make a lot of profit from and diversify your portfolio in terms of agriculture. Okay. Or you can buy your land, like I said, grow some products of it, and just be exporter. So you can get an export license from the Ghana Export Promotion Company. Yeah, that's the company responsible for export license in Ghana. So another option for you is to get your parcel of land and grow, for example, pineapples, right? And then get your export license and be an exporter of pineapples. Yeah, that will bring in a lot of income for you. So that's one way. Two, you can grow your food, yeah, and then sell it to the market. So, and when we're talking about growing food, right, I'm talking about organic food. I'm not talking about food using I'm not talking about crops grown using pesticides and GMOs and that kind of thing. I'm talking about organic, yeah. And again, organic produce, right, is very, very in demand, particularly in Western markets. So again, if you grow organic food, organic vegetables, fruits, right, you can generate a good market and generate a good income. So, like I said, you can export, yeah, one, of your products that you decide to grow. Two, if you grow your products, so for example, if you grow oranges, yeah, you can sell that in the numerous supermarkets and malls that have sprung up, particularly in Accra, over the last 5 to 10 years. So, because of the right to return, yield return, and beyond the return, there are many, many Africans from the continent now living in Ghana, yeah? So they want to experience, fresh juice. So if you can, or eating organic, fruit and vegetables particularly. So if you can grow oranges, bananas, those kind of things, right? And then sell it to supermarkets, yeah? Again, that can diversify your portfolio range when it comes to, agriculture. Again, you can grow another crop like mangoes, yeah, and then be a supplier to companies who produce mango juice and its derivatives. So again, that's another way of generating income by being a supplier to companies that manufacture fruits, that manufacture fruit and take them into juices and that kind of thing. And I'll give you an example. There's a chap in Ghana called Anthony Piles. He's the founder of Blue Skies, yeah? So Blue Skies is basically the most successful pineapple juice company in Ghana, yeah? And this man has got a massive pineapple plantation outside Accra, a place called in Sawam. And he grows a lot of pineapple, yeah? But because he's got a massive market in Ghana, and also outside of Ghana, he's also buying pineapple from other suppliers. Yeah. So this butches to the point that I'm making, that if you can grow certain key crops, pineapple, mangoes, oranges, right, you can supply, producers like Blue Skies, Anti and Powers, right, who are mass producers of, pineapple producers and what have you. So that's another area that you could tap into, being a supplier of fruit and vegetables or other commodities for people that make products. Now we look at coconut, yeah. So like I mentioned, coconut has many, many uses, right? And there's a demand for coconut, particularly in the West, because coconut, through research, right, the West now sees coconut as a very, very healthy product. I mean, in Africa, we know this. For example, coconut juice is very, very good for dehydration, and also a lot of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that the body needs to replenish. Things like to help things like the free radicals that can help detoxify the body, and also the food from coconut. The white food that you get in coconut is also very, very healthy for you as well. So coconut has become, a fruit. It is a fruit. They've become a popular fruit in the West in the last few years. And you've got companies who are, exporting coconut juices and products to the likes of, Germany, UK, European Union, etc. So again, if I was, you, I would seriously look at, harnessing coconut and particularly some of the products I've mentioned, like shower gel, like moisturizers, like biscuit, like juices, like cake, etc. Yeah, where you can maximize and diversify your portfolio within that range. Now, aside from being a supplier, aside from being a producer, apart from selling it to shops and supermarkets and what have you, right? You can also make your own juices. So this is part of what we call, this is part of the agriculture sector that we call agro processing. So you got your land, or you can buy a land, right? And then you can say, for example, or rather you go, for example, this oranges. This is just example. You got oranges, yeah. You can get a blender to start off with, right, and make your own orange juice and sell it to the market. Yeah. So you can grow your oranges, yeah, whether it's 10,000 oranges or whatever you grow, right? 5,000 oranges you grow within the season. You can then agro process that into juices by getting a blender or by getting a big juicer where you can process your own juice, yeah, and sell it that way, to supermarkets, to shops, to restaurants, and even you could export some out of Ghana. Because agro processing is also another untapped industry in Ghana as part of our culture where people can make money with. Traditionally, people have gone to farming, right? But to produce the raw material, not really add value to it. Now, some Ghanaian farmers are beginning to add value to their cash crops by, making coconut biscuits, in terms of coconut, and in terms of plantain, making plantain chips, in terms of cassava, making cassava chips, in terms of oranges, making orange juice, etc., etc. So again, if you cultivate land for, say, fruit production, yeah, you can then diversify this by going into agro-processing, whereby you can make, an array of juices. So you've got pineapple and ginger juice, which is very popular in Ghana. You've got orange juice. You've got pineapple juice on its own. You've got mango juice. You've got guava juice. You've got sugar melon juice. Sorry, watermelon juice. You got sugar cane juice. All these juices are very, very healthy, yeah? And if you were to grow these products right, and then convert them from the raw material to finished products like juices, again, you can make a lot of money by A, exporting those juices out of Ghana, B, selling those juices to the supermarkets or restaurants and those kind of things, or C, you can sell them to third-party companies, like some of the big supermarkets that we have in Ghana, and some of the big restaurants as well that we have in Ghana, particularly Accra, that will buy your produce from you at a competitive rate. So agriculture is definitely an investment worth making, because over the longer, it's not a short-term thing, it's a medium long-term development when it comes to agriculture, because I think it takes about 3 or 4 years to grow pineapples. The same for coconut as well. I think oranges grow within 1 year. So agriculture, is not a short-term, get quick rich, scheme. It does take time to grow these cash crops I've just mentioned, but the profit margins are huge. Like I said, look at things like cocoa now. Cocoa, which is the main product of chocolate. Yeah, it between 8,000 and about 9,000 US dollars a ton. Yeah, so just imagine in the season, right? You can produce about 4 or 5 tons. Yeah, in addition to other things that you're making. So that's about $40,000, within the cocoa season that you can produce from if you were to invest in cocoa. So I hope this, brief podcast about opportunity within agriculture has given you food for thought, and has also given you some an array of opportunities that exist in the agriculture setting, whether it's just being a producer, a supplier, or even converting those finished goods into converting those raw materials like oranges into finished goods like orange juices. So hopefully these will give you some ideas as to how to invest in agriculture and to some of the opportunities that lie within the field of agriculture and agro-processing. Because like I said, Ghana has very, very rich fertile soil and a lot of good quality food, organic food, vegetables as well. I even did the touch of vegetables. So vegetables like spinach, tomatoes. Ghana is importing a lot of spinach, a lot of tomatoes, a lot of onions. So again, if you, and particularly tomatoes, because tomato is staple in Ghana. Tomatoes used to make everything in Ghana. Our jollof rice, our stews, our soups. Tomato is a very key ingredient. So again, if you can produce, organic tomatoes, yeah, you definitely get a massive market for Ghana as well. And also, again, in terms of tomato, there's agro-processing byproducts. So, for example, tomato paste, yeah, the like the tin tomatoes kind of thing. That again, is something that can generate a lot of income because tomato paste in particular is used in a lot of dishes in Ghana, from jollof rice, red soups, in contemporary stew, etc., etc. So tomato will be a very, very profitable, worthwhile fruit to grow in Ghana. And when we're talking about agriculture, yeah, a lot of non-Africans, Indians and Chinese, they've now got farms in Ghana. Yeah. If you think I'm lying, why is it that if a lot of the yam, plantain, cocoa yam that comes to UK is actually from Indian farmers. Indians who have bought farms in Ghana, that's where that thing's coming from. And that's why, they can sell our own food cheaper to us than we can. Because they've got their farms, in Ghana or Nigeria or even Jamaica. Because I said even Jamaica, the Indians have got farms in Jamaica whereby they are growing cocoyam, dasheen, green banana, etc. Yeah, and importing that to places like Canada, the US, UK. Yeah, so that shows you why that other non-Africans have tapped into the food market or agriculture because there's a lot of money to be made. They recognize that. So this is why I'm imploring you listeners, yeah, to consider agriculture, yeah, as a viable option, business and investment opportunity. Yeah, because like I said, if others are making money from it, why can't we as Africans make money from our own food? Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's edition of Ghana in Focus with myself, Kwame, Ghanaian writer, broadcaster, podcaster, and entrepreneur. In next week's edition, we're going to talk about a lot of the comments in the next few weeks, how to save money in this cost of living crisis, how to live within your means, how to start a saving culture. We'll be looking at those kind of issues in the next few weeks. So we'll be looking for now. No more investment opportunities, but probably later on the year, probably in the fall, in autumn, we'll be looking at some more business and investment opportunities you can tap into in Ghana. All right, so for myself, Kwame, and from all the crew here on Ghana in Focus, don't forget to subscribe, like the show on YouTube, subscribe to Ghana African Focus on YouTube, subscribe to Ghana African Focus on Spotify, and also let us have your comments. Yeah, let us know what you think about the show. Let's have your comments. Let us know what you think about agriculture in Ghana. Would you invest in agriculture? Do you see agriculture as a viable business investment opportunity? Do you think it's something that you can get a good return on your investment? So I'd like to hear from you. So particularly if you follow me on Spotify and YouTube, let's have your comments. Yeah, let us know what you think. All right, so until next week, where we have some more great content coming up for you, it's for myself and Kwame and from all the crew here on Ghana in Focus. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week for some more Ghana in Focus.